as promised, we are breaking down some Cowboys minicamp winners and losers, and more winners than losers, which I think should make sense in most cases there. Now, we are in the month of June. The most likes on a single video in Cowboys Report history in June was 2,856 during an OTA winners and losers. Let's shatter that mark today. I want every single person to like today's video. It's like a 10% ratio is what we're asking for here. Let's shatter that mark. Everyone like today's video right now. First up on the minicamp winners losers, I do want to mention Brandin Cooks, and this kind of does tie into player number 2 we'll get to here momentarily. One thing you're always looking for in these early stages of things that aren't the real games and matter but don't matter quite as much is same things being said over and over again. Every time the media has been present at a Cowboys OTA open practice or a Cowboys minicamp practice, it's been, Cooks looks fast. He's making plays with quarterback Dak Prescott. Every single day there's been, Cooks had a deep bomb, huge play. Cooks had a touchdown. It's a good thing. That means he's playing well. With no CeeDee Lamb present, I think that bodes well for Cooks and the Dak chemistry continuing to grow, which we know was also worked on in Dak's backyard this past offseason. I will also put Prescott in the winners category here, mostly because of what Mike McCarthy said at the Wednesday press conference, Mike saying, quote, I think Dak's having his best offseason program, and he's had great offseason programs the whole time. I think the QBs have really excelled through the offseason program. I think we've taken a step. Now, Mike kind of made this comment unprompted. And he wasn't asked, how's Dak doing in the offseason program? He kind of was answering a different question and then kind of veered into that. I do think this is fair to have a conversation about. I think it's fair to wonder, okay, how much higher can the ceiling go, especially for the regular season? We know what the playoff conversation is. After a second-team All-Pro campaign for Dak Prescott. It's also just year 2 in Mike McCarthy's offense. In most cases, second year in the offense leads to better results. Prescott is going to be 31 in July. That is actually very much the prime for quarterbacks. I mean, look, I still think to this day, Romo's best year was the last year before he got hurt. He was still kind of on the up and up because you learn more and more. Your athletic ability might not be the same, but the mental processing gets better each and every single year. So I think the playoff stuff is all that we care about because we know this is going to be probably around a 10-win football team. Can the quarterback be better? Or if the ceiling in the end is just second-team All-Pro, it's not like that's a bad ceiling regular season-wise. So will Dak Prescott be better in 2024? B for better, W for worse, knowing the supporting cast is not better this year. It's the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. B for better, W for worse. We'll put Trey Lance in this category as well. I'll mention this tweet from Nick Harris, and I do want to make one overarching point for a lot of the young guys here. Harris tweeting out that in a 7-on-7 period at the end of Wednesday's practice, Lance entered with Jalen Tolbert for a 40-yard gain out of the offensive sideline. Had a solid 7-on-7 session. Continues to impress coaches with his development. It's been a little bit up and down overall for Trey Lance. And that's okay. Progression isn't actually linear, at least not in a direct sense. It's not that you're a 1, then you're a 2, then you're a 3, then you're a 4, then you're a 5. Sometimes you're a 1, then you're a 3, then you're back down to a 1.5, then you're a 4, then you're a 3. It's you look at the macro of it should be linear and you should get better. The micro isn't always going to be upwards every single day. It's the big picture angle. And the big picture will be determined for Lance in the preseason. That's why it is only minicamp after all. A rookie, Marist Liufau here on the list. We mentioned him in one of our other minicamp videos because Mike Zimmer gave him some praise. Damone Clark also praising him, saying, quote, he's a sponge. He asks a lot of questions. He goes out there and does everything 110%. He gives his all on every play, and the sky's the limit for him. Marist is going to be one of them ones. Players and coaches are giving him a lot of praise, and I hope this is true. Now, you kind of, as an organization, were different than the consensus. Not that the consensus is always right, but you kind of said, no, we're right. We know what we're doing. We're taking this guy that wasn't really projected to be in this range. And if you got that pick right, that's a big deal. Because maybe your linebacker tandem is DeMarvion Overshown and Marist Liufau long term, and we feel really good about that. I think that's an ideal outcome. I'm excited to see him get plenty of running camp and the preseason. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. With Prize Picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sport this summer. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. So get in on the daily action today with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community. You've got the finals going on right now. The finals mean more on Prize Picks with star players. You've got baseball. You've got women's basketball as well. I'm a big believer in most cases of the flex play. That means if you get 2 out of 3 right, you still win. Not the same payout, but still come out on top. I will not always do the flex play, though. I spy right here on Prize Picks Jason Tatum a half point as the more than, less than. It's a no-brainer more than. It's a free square, basically. I'll take Kyrie Irving more than 24 points in a revenge game back in Boston. And I like the way Derek Love's been playing, so I'll do more than 16.5 points, boards, and assists as well. So download the Prize Picks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. I'm going to group the young wide receivers together here and kind of cheat my way through this a little bit. There's several players that I think fit this mold. Jalen Tolbert, who I think sounds like he had a pretty good day on Wednesday, having success and making some plays alongside Lance and Prescott. Jalen Brooks has gotten praise from Bobby Belt several times. He did slip on a 2-point try, but that's okay. And we had some Ryan Flournoy sightings as well, which I think is very impactful from that perspective. Here's my prediction. I think in the preseason, we're going to get kind of hyped about the Flournoy-Lance connection, and probably some in training camp as well. The athletic ability specifically for Flournoy is a little bit different than what this team has had. Lamb's a great athlete too, but Flournoy's height, weight, speed combination is a little bit different than what this team has had in recent years at the wide receiver spot. I am excited about him. If you want to go full-on snorting lines of hopium here about Flournoy, just call him Baby Dez and let's ride. He's not actually going to be Dez Bryant 2.0, but that's the type of excitement hype train. There's always somebody, young guy at training camp that we fall in love with at wide receiver. Every single year we do it. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. I wonder if Flournoy is going to be that guy this year for Cowboys fans. So are you buying that hype around the young wide receivers? Y for yes, N for no in the comments section. Donovan Wilson, next up here. A couple times we've mentioned him in the context of, helped make a play that led or made the play that was an INT. Also in the context of the starters. So I do think that matters for Wilson. There are moments where he's an impact player. I think more so in 2022. I want to see more of those in 2024. Eric Kendricks made a really good play, a diving pass breakup that led to a tip for Wilson for an INT. He's your green dot. He's a key part of your defense. I think his presence is a big deal for Mike Zimmer because he kind of connects the scheme with the knowledge and the player connection and all that stuff, the coach on the field, etc. Gonna play a big role for this defense, and thank God they did something on that side of the ball in free agency. So name a Cowboys minicamp winner. We got. I'm sure you guys have been paying attention to. Sound off for me in the comments section right now. We'll group together a few names here, again, because Mike McCarthy's praised the way these young guys have rehabbed. Mike tends to be a kind of big, this is the best we've had. Every year it's the best we've had. His new best this year was the way the young guys have hit the rehab and how they've grown. Unfortunately, last year, 3 first-year players, David Durden, the wide receiver, linebacker DeMarvion Overshown, and tight end John Stevens, at least 2 of whom were probably going to make the roster. I think Durden would have been on the practice squad, by the way. Stevens, I think, was going to be on the 53, and Overshown might have been your best linebacker day one with the way he was looking in the preseason. They all tore their ACLs in like a 5-day span. They've all hit that rehab pretty hard. I think there's a good chance they're back out there for training camp. Dallas will be smart. They will not overwork them. You might see some off days sprinkled in, but I like the trends that these guys are taking right now. Now, if you guys don't want to miss anything around the Dallas Cowboys, knowing it's not a ton going on at the moment, then hit that sub button. We got you covered with daily videos multiple times per day, even in the dead periods of the NFL calendar. So minicamp losers. Peyton Hendershot, as we broke down earlier, or I should say on Wednesday, he was unavailable for minicamp. Undisclosed, quote-unquote, minor medical procedure. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe it'll come out by the time it's filmed, but I think this actually might, Dak made the funny HIPAA comment a few years ago. It actually might be HIPAA if it's not football related, because that actually is private medical information. So I don't know. Appendicitis was my first thought, or wisdom teeth, or something like, you got to deal with actual minor surgery stuff that takes you away from the football field. He would have been likely out of minicamp anyway on the side, rehab-wise, recovering from his ankle injury. There was no connection by the way between the procedure and the ankle issue, so that's kind of makes me why I think it's non-football related. But he's got to fight for a roster spot. Young guys need time. And I think, by the way, talk about injured players overall. We'll come back to another name. But first, name a Cowboys minicamp loser for me. You can be negative. It's okay, too. Sound off in the comments. I think other injured players. I'm talking about guys like Mozzie Smith, guys like Luke Schoonmaker, who were coming off injuries last year. Young players that should be good to go in time for training camp. But boy, wouldn't it have been nice to have them out there for this stuff. Schoonmaker's got to make an impact. Mozzie has to make an impact unless this team is going to say, we're starting 7th-round pick Justin Rogers at nose guard. That's kind of scary. Even though I do like Rogers, I think he's a good fit for what the team is going to ask of him, to be a literal rock and not move very much. And you're gonna have to bank on playing Marshawn Nealon real snaps at 3 technique. I don't know if that's a good idea year one. The other loser here is the final day of minicamp practice, canceled. We'll see if the Cowboys do like a little fun team bonding, top golf thing or something. But Dallas got all the things they wanted to get done. It's not uncommon for a lot of these teams without a first-year head coach to cancel day 3 minicamp. I think the Dolphins did something similar. And that means they won't be on the field together for a month and a half in July when training camp gets going.